Have you ever opened your refrigerator at 6 in the evening, stared inside for a long moment, and just sighed? Maybe there's a half-empty jug of milk in there, a stick of butter, a piece of lettuce that's seen better days, and that's about it. And you stand there thinking, I don't really want to drive to the store. I don't want to spend the money, but I have to eat something tonight. If that's ever happened to you, my friend, then sit down with me for a few minutes, because I want to tell you something I've learned over many, many years in the kitchen. That cabinet right behind you, the one with the cans and the pasta and the rice and the little jars of spices you've had forever, that cabinet is a gold mine. It can feed you beautifully for a whole week. You just need to know how to listen to it. Today, I'm going to share 8 dinners with you. Real dinners, the kind that warm you from the inside. And every single one of them is made from things you almost certainly already have in your kitchen right now. No fresh meat, no fresh vegetables required. Just shelf-stable, ready-to-go ingredients sitting quietly in your pantry.
I'm going to save my favorite for last, the 8th recipe. It's the one I make on Sunday evenings when I want the kitchen to smell like a memory. Stay with me till the end, and I'll walk you through it slowly, the way my mother walked me through it the first time. Now, go put the kettle on if you'd like. Grab a notepad and a pen if you're a note taker like me, and let's spend a little time together in the kitchen. Before we start, I want you to know something. If you're watching this alone, in a quiet house, with the TV on for company, I see you. I've been there too. Cooking for one is its own kind of art, and it's an art that nobody really teaches us. But by the end of these 8 recipes, I promise you'll feel a little less alone in front of that stove. All right, let's begin. You know, I didn't always cook from the pantry. There was a time years ago when I'd run to the store 3 or 4 times a week. A little of this, a little of that. I'd come home with bags full of fresh things, and half of them would wilt in the fridge before I got to them. Money straight in the trash. And then, one winter, I remember this clearly. It was a bad snowstorm. 3 days I couldn't get out of the house. And on the second night, I opened that pantry door and I had to figure something out. Just me and the cans and the rice and a little curiosity. That night, I made one of the best dinners I'd had in months, and it cost me almost nothing. That's when I understood something important. Cooking from the pantry isn't poor cooking. It isn't lazy cooking. It's smart cooking. It's the cooking our mothers and grandmothers mastered out of necessity, and the cooking we'd be wise to remember now, when groceries cost what they cost, and our knees don't always feel like driving to the store on a Tuesday night. The truth is, pantry cooking gives you 4 gifts at once. It saves you money, because you're finally using what you already paid for instead of letting it expire. It saves you the trip out, on the days the weather isn't kind or your back is telling you to stay home. It keeps you ready for a storm, a power outage, a week when life just gets in the way. And this is the part nobody talks about. It tastes wonderful. We're not making sad survival food today, my friend. We're making the kind of dinners that fill the house with smells and make you set the table just for yourself, because you deserve it. Every single recipe I'm sharing with you today uses ingredients that last for months in the cupboard. So even if you live alone, even if you sometimes worry about food going bad before you can finish it, these are made exactly for you. All right, let's start with the first one. The first one comes straight from Italy. It's a 5-minute miracle, and I promise you have everything you need for it right now.
Start by boiling about half a small box of spaghetti. That's around 4 ounces, enough for 1 good plate or 2 smaller ones. Let it cook the way the package tells you, usually 8 to 10 minutes. Now, here's the little secret most people miss. Before you drain that pasta, take a coffee cup and scoop out about half a cup of the cooking water. Set it aside. Don't pour it down the sink. That cloudy, starchy water is the magic that turns this whole dish from good into incredible. While the pasta's cooking, take a skillet and pour in about 3 good tablespoons of olive oil. Set it over medium-low heat. Gentle, not aggressive. Slice up 4 cloves of garlic, nice and thin. Or if you don't have fresh garlic on hand, a teaspoon of garlic powder works just fine. Add it to the warm oil and let it sizzle gently for about 2 minutes. You want the garlic golden and fragrant, not brown, not bitter, just gold. Now add a generous pinch of red pepper flakes. Stir it around for 30 seconds. Let it bloom into the oil. Drain your spaghetti and bring it right over to the skillet. Pour in a splash of that reserved pasta water, maybe a quarter cup to start, and toss everything together. Watch what happens. That starchy water and the olive oil come together into a silky, glossy sauce that coats every single strand of pasta. It's almost like a trick, but it's just chemistry, the way the old Italian grandmothers knew it.
Finish with a sprinkle of dried parsley and a little salt to taste. That's it. A restaurant-quality plate of pasta in under 15 minutes with nothing but pantry staples. And if you happen to have a little piece of Parmesan in the fridge, grate some over the top. But honestly, my friend, it's beautiful just the way it is. You know what I love about that first recipe? It teaches you that simple isn't the same as poor. The Italians have eaten this dish for hundreds of years, not because they couldn't afford anything else, but because they understood that good olive oil, good garlic, and a little patience make something extraordinary out of almost nothing. That's a lesson worth remembering, in the kitchen and in life. This next one is what I call a powerhouse. It's full of protein, full of fiber, and it tastes like you slow cooked it all afternoon, when really, it's done in about 15 minutes from start to finish. Start with a small pot and a little drizzle of olive oil over medium heat. Take 1 small onion, or if you don't have one, a tablespoon of dried onion flakes works beautifully, and chop it up. Toss it into the pot and let it soften for about 3 minutes until it's translucent and smelling sweet. If you're using the dried flakes instead, you'll just add those a moment later with the tomatoes. Now, open a can of diced tomatoes and pour the whole thing in, juice and all. Sprinkle in a teaspoon of dried oregano, a pinch of salt, and a turn of black pepper. Let that bubble gently for about 5 minutes. You'll see the color deepen as the tomatoes cook down and turn into a proper sauce.
Next, drain a can of white beans, cannellini or Great Northern, whichever you have, and stir them right in. Now, the star of the dish. Open a can of tuna. The kind packed in oil is best for this, and dump the whole thing into the pot, oil and all. Don't drain that oil away. That oil is full of flavor, and we want every drop of it. Stir gently. The tuna will break up into flakes that distribute through the stew. Let everything simmer together for another 5 minutes. The flavors marry, the beans soften, the tuna soaks up the tomato. That's all there is to it. Spoon it into a deep bowl. Eat it with a slice of crusty bread if you have one, or just on its own with a spoon. It's thick, hearty, Tuscan-style comfort. The kind of stew you'd pay $15 for in a restaurant, and it cost you maybe $2 at home. And one little tip from me, this one keeps beautifully in the fridge for 3 days. So when you make it tonight, you've got lunch tomorrow waiting for you. That's how my mother used to plan. Cook once, eat twice, always. This third recipe is pure comfort food. It's creamy, it's savory, it tastes like a fancy risotto from a restaurant, but you make it from a can. I'm not kidding.
Start with a pot on the stove. Add 1 cup of white rice and 2 cups of water. Drop in 1 bouillon cube, chicken or vegetable, either one, and shake in about a teaspoon of onion powder. Give it a stir so the bouillon starts dissolving. Bring the pot up to a boil, then turn the heat right down to low and put the lid on. Now, leave it alone for 18 minutes. Don't peek, don't stir. The rice needs that steam trapped in there to cook properly. When the 18 minutes are up, take the lid off.
The rice should be tender and the water completely absorbed. Now the magic. Open 1 can of cream of mushroom soup and pour the whole thing in. Don't water it down, just dump it straight in, condensed and all. Sprinkle a teaspoon of dried thyme over the top. Stir everything together gently over low heat for about 2 more minutes. And just like that, you've got a creamy, mushroomy, deeply savory rice dish that tastes like something you'd order at a nice restaurant. It probably cost you $2 to make, maybe less. A little tip if you want to stretch this one further, if you have a can of chicken or tuna sitting in the pantry, stir it in at the end. Or if there's an egg in the fridge, fry it up and lay it right on top of your bowl. That golden yolk running down through the creamy rice, that's a meal a king would be happy with.
Quick little thing I want to share with you. I know some of you watching are cooking for just yourself tonight, and I know how easy it is when you're alone to skip the meal, to just have toast or cereal or nothing at all. Please don't. A proper warm meal, sitting at the table with a real plate and a real fork, that matters. Maybe more after 60 than ever before. Not just for your body, for your spirit. These recipes are designed so you can make them for one, so you have leftovers for tomorrow. So eating well stops being a chore and becomes the little gift you give yourself at the end of the day. All right, recipe 4. This one is a real Southern classic, and it brings back so many memories for me. My grandmother used to make this on Sunday evenings, when the cupboard was nearly bare and Monday's grocery trip was still a day away. And I'm telling you, we all licked our plates clean. Start with the cornbread. The easiest way is to use a box mix. They sell them for $1 or $2 in any grocery store. Follow what the package tells you. Usually just add water or milk, give it a stir, pour it into a greased pan, and bake at 400 degrees for about 20 minutes. While that's in the oven, the smell alone is going to make you happy.
While the cornbread bakes, take a small pot and open 1 can of pinto beans, or any beans you happen to have. Drain them and pour them into the pot. Add about a 1/4 cup of water, a teaspoon of garlic powder, a pinch of salt, and a turn of black pepper. Set it over medium heat for about 5 minutes. And here's the trick my grandmother taught me. Take your spoon and gently mash some of those beans against the side of the pot as they warm. Not all of them, just enough to thicken the whole mixture into something between a soup and a sauce. When the cornbread comes out golden and singing, cut yourself a big square. Drop it into a deep bowl. Spoon those warm, mashed beans right over the top. A few drops of hot sauce if you like a little kick. And that's dinner. But here's the secret my grandmother always insisted on, and I'll share it with you because it changes everything. Once the cornbread is in the bowl, crumble it right into the beans with the back of your spoon. Let it break apart. Let it soak up every drop of that bean juice. Eat it like a stew. That's how it was meant to be eaten. That's how it was passed down.
The whole meal costs you maybe $3, and it'll keep you full and happy until breakfast. If you have 4 ingredients in your house, you have dinner. This is one of those recipes that makes you ask out loud, how can this taste so good with so little? Start with a small pot. Pour in 3 cups of water and bring it to a boil. While it's heating up, drop in 2 chicken bouillon cubes and let them dissolve completely. Now, add about a tablespoon of soy sauce and a teaspoon of dried onion flakes. Or if you happen to have a green onion in the fridge, slice that up and use it instead. Here's where it becomes a real soup. Take a small cup and mix a teaspoon of cornstarch with 2 tablespoons of cold water. Stir until it's perfectly smooth, no lumps. Pour that mixture slowly into your soup and stir as it goes in. You'll see the broth thicken slightly into a glossy, restaurant-quality consistency. That's the little trick the Chinese restaurants don't tell you. And now, the magic step.
Crack 2 eggs into a small bowl and beat them well with a fork. Take a spoon and start stirring your soup in a slow, gentle circle. While it's swirling, and only while it's swirling, pour the eggs in a thin, steady stream. Watch what happens. Those eggs hit the hot broth and instantly bloom into beautiful golden ribbons that curl through the soup like silk. Turn off the heat, a little salt, a little pepper to taste. That's it. A warm, comforting bowl of egg drop soup made from things that were already in your kitchen. About $1 a bowl. Done in 8 minutes. The kind of soup that makes a cold evening feel like a hug. This next dish, I want you to listen carefully, is so satisfying you won't believe there's no meat in it. It's rich, it's deeply flavorful, and it's packed with protein and fiber, which is exactly what our bodies need after 60. Start with a skillet and a small splash of olive oil over medium heat. Add about a tablespoon of tomato paste, that little can of thick red paste, and let it cook in the hot oil for 1 minute. This is a step nobody talks about, but it matters. The paste caramelizes, turns a deeper red, and develops a rich, almost smoky flavor that becomes the soul of the dish. If you don't have tomato paste, an extra splash of tomato sauce works too.
Sprinkle in a teaspoon of ground cumin and a teaspoon of garlic powder. Stir it around for 30 seconds and let those spices wake up in the warm oil. Your kitchen is going to smell like a Moroccan restaurant in about 10 seconds. Now pour in 1 can of diced tomatoes, juice and all, a pinch of salt, a turn of pepper. Let it simmer for 5 minutes, getting thick and saucy. Drain 1 can of chickpeas, those golden little garbanzo beans, and stir them right in. Let everything simmer together for another 8 minutes. The chickpeas will drink up all that flavor and become tender and wonderful. That's the whole dish. Spoon it into a bowl, eat it with a slice of bread for dipping, over a scoop of rice, or honestly, just by itself with a spoon. And here's something important I want to share with you, friend. Chickpeas are one of the very best foods for people over 60. They're wonderful for your heart. They help keep your blood sugar steady. They keep your digestion running smoothly. The doctors will tell you to eat more of them, and now you have a recipe that makes it actually taste good. Try to have them at least once a week. Your body will thank you. Somebody asked me the other day, why do I bother making real dinners when it's just me at the table? And I told her, because I'm worth it. Because the act of cooking is itself the meal. Because the smell in the kitchen, the warmth of the stove, the rhythm of stirring a pot, that's not chores, that's life.
If nobody told you that today, I'm telling you now. You're worth the warm meal. You're worth the proper plate. You're worth the effort. All right, 2 more recipes, and the best one is still ahead. This one is one of those nostalgic, retro recipes that just hits the spot. Creamy, comforting, ready in 25 minutes. The kind of dinner your mother might have made on a Tuesday night in 1965, and it still works just as beautifully in the kitchen today. Start by boiling about 2 cups of egg noodles, or any pasta shape you have on hand. It really doesn't matter. Cook them according to the package, usually 7 or 8 minutes. Then drain them and set them aside. In a separate pot or skillet, pour in 1 can of cream of mushroom soup. Add about half a cup of milk, or if you happen to have a splash of cream in the fridge, even better. Stir gently over low heat for about 2 minutes until the soup loosens up and turns into a smooth, creamy sauce. You'll smell it, that comforting, homey smell that reminds you of childhood. Drain 1 can of tuna and add it right in. Sprinkle about half a teaspoon of dried dill, or any dried herb you have on hand and you enjoy. A little salt, a little pepper. Stir gently so you don't break up the tuna too much. Now add your drained noodles to the pot. Toss everything together with a wooden spoon until every single noodle is coated in that creamy, savory sauce. And that's dinner. A classic, old-fashioned bowl of comfort food. It makes 2 good servings, so you have lunch tomorrow too. Want to make it really special? Grab a handful of crackers from the cupboard, saltines or Ritz, whatever you've got, and crush them up in your hand. Sprinkle them right over the top of the casserole and slide it under the broiler for just 2 minutes. When you pull it out, you've got that
golden, crunchy crust on top of all that creamy
Of
goodness.
just whatever.
Yeah.
Because it's the end part, so I can slice that and then take it off, and then every other shot's going to be just opening it up to the tomato.
I like that, yeah.
All right, so I get this initial one out of the way. You can still shoot it.
Yeah, I
You
got
want me
it.
to continue cutting after that?
Yeah.
Ingredients and a marble countertop.
Kind of go like that.
Yeah.
All right. Probably don't need more than that, but I can keep slicing.
I think so.
So that way that tomato shot,
When you're celebrating, when you're alone. These 8 today, I hope at least 1 or 2 of them become your recipes. All right, the last one, the crown jewel I promised you at the very beginning. Here it is, my friend. Recipe number 8, the one I save for Sunday evenings, the one I promised you would shock you. And I'm telling you right now, when you pull this out of the oven, you will not believe it came entirely from your pantry. Start by preheating your oven to 400 degrees. Let it warm up while we get everything else ready. Now put a pot of water on to boil and add about 8 ounces of pasta. That's roughly half a regular box. Any shape works beautifully here. Penne, rotini, shells, even broken up spaghetti. Whatever you have. Here's the important part. Cook the pasta for only half the time the package tells you. So if the box says 10 minutes, you cook it for 5. We're not finishing it on the stove. We're finishing it in the oven, where it's going to drink up all that beautiful sauce and become something extraordinary. Drain it and set it aside.
Now, find yourself a large baking dish, or even better, an oven-safe skillet if you have one. Into that dish goes the half-cooked pasta. On top of that, pour 1 whole jar of pasta sauce. If you don't have a jar of sauce in the pantry, 2 cans of crushed tomatoes with a generous shake of Italian seasoning works just as well. My grandmother actually preferred it that way. Now, open 1 can of diced tomatoes and pour it in, juice and all. Drain 1 can of cannellini beans, or any white beans you have, and add those too. This is the secret nobody tells you about pasta bakes. The white beans melt into the sauce, add protein and creaminess, and you'd swear there was cream in there. There isn't, just beans doing their quiet magic. Sprinkle in a generous teaspoon of Italian seasoning and a teaspoon of garlic powder, a good pinch of salt, a turn of black pepper. If the whole thing looks a little dry, pour in about half a cup of water. The pasta needs liquid to keep cooking. Now stir everything together gently. You want every piece of pasta swimming in that rich, beany, tomatoey sauce. And if you happen to have any shredded cheese in the fridge, mozzarella, cheddar, parmesan, anything, sprinkle a generous handful right over the top. This is the cherry on top. But, and I mean this, if you don't have cheese, this dish is still wonderful. Don't run to the store, don't worry about it. It works without. Cover the dish with foil and slide it into the oven for 20 minutes. Then take the foil off and let it bake another 5 minutes uncovered until it's bubbling around the edges and golden on top. When you pull this out of the oven, my friend, your whole kitchen is going to smell like an Italian grandmother's house on a Sunday afternoon. The pasta is tender, the sauce has thickened into something rich and deep, the beans have melted into creaminess, and every single bite tastes like comfort itself. This recipe makes 4 good servings, so you have dinner tonight, lunch tomorrow, and maybe even a portion to tuck into the freezer for the next time you don't feel like cooking. All from your pantry, for maybe $5 total. This is the dinner you make when you've stared into the fridge and thought there was nothing to eat, and 25 minutes later, you sit down at your table and eat like a king. That's the magic of the pantry. That's the gift our grandmothers left us. Before I let you go, I want to share one more thing with you. Because the truth is, the secret to never being stuck on dinner isn't really about the recipes.
So, if you take nothing else from today, take this little list with you. There are 7 friends I keep in my pantry at all times.
As long as I have these 7, I'm never stuck. I'm never hungry. I'm never one snowstorm away from an empty plate. The first is pasta and rice. These two are the foundation of half the recipes we made today, and they last for months, sometimes a year, in the cupboard without a thought. The second is canned tomatoes, both the diced kind and the sauce kind. A can of tomatoes can turn almost anything into a meal. That's something the Italian grandmothers figured out a long time ago, and we'd be wise to remember it. The third is canned beans, all kinds. White beans, black beans, pinto, chickpeas. Keep a variety. They're full of protein and fiber. They fill you up properly, and they cost almost nothing. After 60, beans should be one of your closest friends. The fourth is canned tuna or canned chicken. Instant protein, ready when you are. They turn pasta into dinner, they turn rice into dinner, they turn a slice of bread into lunch. The fifth is bouillon cubes or boxed broth. This is what gives soups and rice and stews their soul. A pot of plain water becomes a meal the moment a bouillon cube hits it. The sixth is eggs. And yes, even though they live in the fridge, I count them as pantry. They last 4 or 5 weeks easily, and they turn any meal into a complete one. A fried egg on top of rice, a scrambled egg in soup, an omelet with whatever leftovers you have. Eggs are a miracle.
And the 7th, this is the one nobody talks about, is your basic spices. Garlic powder, onion powder, Italian seasoning, dried parsley, dried oregano. These tiny little jars are the magic that turns plain ingredients into actual food. Don't underestimate them. A pinch of the right herb is the difference between dinner and just eating. With those 7 friends in your kitchen, you're ready for anything. A storm, a tight week, a bad knee day, a quiet Sunday when you don't feel like driving anywhere. You'll always be able to feed yourself properly. And that, my friend, is real peace of mind. All right, my friend, that's our 8 recipes for today. Before you go, I want you to do something for me. Something small. Go open your pantry right now. After this video, just open it and look. Really look. See what's already in there. And then pick one of these 8 recipes, the one that matches what's sitting on your shelves, and make it tonight. Don't wait for tomorrow. Don't wait for grocery day. Tonight. Because here's what I've learned in all my years in the kitchen, and I want to pass it on to you. You don't need a full grocery store to make a beautiful meal. You don't need fresh herbs from the farmer's market. You don't need anything you don't already have. You just need a little curiosity, a little time, and the courage to trust that the cupboard has more in it than you remember.
If this video helped you tonight, if it made you feel a little less alone in front of the stove, or saved you a little money, or just reminded you of your own mother in the kitchen, I'd be so grateful if you'd give it a thumbs up. It really does help me find more wonderful people like you to share these recipes with. And if you'd like more easy, warm, sensible cooking made for our stage of life, go ahead and tap subscribe. I post a new recipe every single week. Recipes for 1, recipes for 2, recipes that respect your time, your budget, and your knees. Down in the comments, I'd love to hear from you. Which of the 8 are you making first? Is it the pasta aglio and olio, the cornbread and beans like your grandmother used to make, the egg drop soup? Or are you saving the magic pasta bake for Sunday, the way I do? Tell me. I read every single comment, and there is nothing I love more than hearing what's bubbling on your stove tonight. Until next time, my friend, take good care of yourself. Cook with what you have. Sit down at a real table. Use the good plate. And remember, a pantry full of basics is a kitchen full of possibilities. I'll see you next week.